first thing I did when I was elected mayor was head over to LMPD headquarters and speak with them about the future of the city. And obviously, we all know that public safety is the #1 priority for any city in the country and any place in the world. And in order to address that priority, what we do is continue to assemble a team with both depth and breadth to attack the many faceted challenges that come with crime. Our new city budget was just passed this last week. We have a net new 44 LMPD positions from the budget passed a year ago. From what was passed this past December, we're adding 16 new officers. We're adding crime scene technicians and investing in programs that aim to stop violence before it happens. So that's just the real current past. But even before then, we created the Real-Time Crime Center. We equipped our officers with body cameras and invested in ShotSpotter gunshot detection system as well. So lots of continuing investment in public safety. We had, for the first 4 years of my administration, we had a long trend of declining violence in our city and many cities as well. Unfortunately, throughout the country, and we're not an exception to this, external factors that are gripping most large cities right now are really giving us new set of challenges as it relates to crime reduction. So these new challenges require new steps. We're focusing more officers now on kind of the key crime that leads to violent crime, and that's illegal narcotics trafficking. We're investing in efforts that help vulnerable young people turn away from crime in the first place. That's a lot of the work from our Office for Safe and Healthy Neighborhoods. And we're also redirecting resources toward an epidemic that is really going all throughout the country, and that's opioid substance abuse. I just returned from a conference of mayors meeting, and that was one of the primary topics about what's ravaging our country right now, and then all the associated side effects that come with that, not just from a personal health standpoint, but also from a crime standpoint. So we've got a large-scale, comprehensive plan to address violence in our community, and it's great to have a plan, and all parts of the plan have a call to action, but the plan is not sufficient by itself. We need everybody in the community to help us, to step up and be the one to make a difference, if you will. And you'll notice now we're putting "be the one" on the front of the podium here, because we want people that express their concern about crime in the community then to take the next step and say, okay, what can I do about it? And so there's 20-plus calls to action where people can step up and do something about it and, in fact, be the one. So some examples. We need people to mentor a young person, to read to students, to form block watches, to share information about battling drug addiction. Boy, wouldn't it be nice if there was just a switch that you could flip and then all this would be over. But we know that's not the case. We need people to step up. And we need help to find the people that are responsible for committing crimes when crime happens. Crime is not committed in a vacuum. In most instances, somebody saw something, they heard something, they know that they can help out. So LMPD, our officers need to know what you know. Any bit of information can help. You can share with LMPD what you know about what happened in the community in a safe, secure, and confidential environment. We're going to show that to you here today. Anonymously, we all know about the tip line. You can call or text 574-LMPD, or you can go to louisvilleky.gov and report tips. You'll be providing not just our officers, but your fellow citizens with valuable information that can help reduce violence in our city. And that's not just help to bring justice for a mother, father, spouse, son, or daughter. It could be somebody you know. It's getting a person suspected of committing violence off the streets so it will not happen again. And what we know in many cases is the same person is perpetrating crime, and it could be violent crime, time and time again. So if you know something and you're not providing that information in a confidential manner or any other manner, in effect, you are culpable in the continued acts of crime by that person. And I realize in some parts of the community, people say, well, I'm not going to talk to the police. Just understand, by not talking to the police, someone that you know, someone that you love, could be the next victim. So we ask people to question what this culture would be of not talking to the police when you know something about crime, because it can lead to terrible, terrible consequences. So please step up. Please think about that. And please be the one to make a difference in the lives of our community. We've got a great, dedicated police force. They will do everything that they can do, but they do need help. Now, here's the facts. Here's the numbers. Many citizens are already doing their part. In its first year, 574 LMPD got more than 8,600 calls. Last year, more than 99,000. So think about that. Almost an 11-fold increase in calls from when we started LMPD. So many people are helping already. But the reality is, as long as violence persists, we need citizens to actively participate in helping make our city a safer place. It is everybody's job to do their part. We are interconnected as citizens here, so everybody's got to step up when that opportunity offers itself. As the chief likes to say, and you hear it from public safety leaders throughout the world, if you see something, say something. You might see the actual commitment of a crime taking place, or you might just see something that looks suspicious. We need to know. You never know how all the different pieces of the puzzle fit together, and you can do that by calling 574 LMPD or going to LouisvilleKY.com. Chief Conrad is now going to explain a little bit more about how 574 LMPD helps officers every day. And after that, Susan Bowling, who is LMPD's Service Center expert, will explain how the tip line works and how they ensure your anonymity. All right, well, thanks everybody for coming out today, and I'll turn it over to Chief.
Good morning. We've already had 66 homicides in our city this year as compared to last, where we had 55 on this date. Unfortunately, half of these homicides have yet to be solved. We owe it to these victims and to the victims' families to do all we can to make an arrest and to hold someone accountable for these crimes. In most cases, there is someone out there who knows what happened. As the mayor said, someone saw something, someone heard something, but for one reason or another, they've made a choice not to call. In some cases, people may mistakenly believe that we know what they know. If that is your reason for not calling, I ask you to please reconsider. The information that you have may be that last piece of information that we need to be able to make an arrest. Or the information that you share may be a key piece of information that will allow us to clear someone whom we suspect of committing that crime. Another reason people do not call is because they fear retaliation. I understand and appreciate that fear, but the truth is we still need your help. The 574 LMPD tip line, which was created in October of 2004, was specifically designed to provide everyone in this community with a truly safe way to anonymously provide information about crime that happens in our community. By design, 574 LMPD calls are not recorded. By design, the phone lines that are used for 574 LMPD are not equipped with caller ID. By design, the operators who work so hard to take these tips when people do call the tip line do not ask, nor do they want to know anything about the caller's identity. 574 LMPD, by design, provides a safe and truly anonymous way for us to work together as a community to do what we can to bring closure to the families and survivors of crime in our community and to truly work together to make Louisville a safer community. The bottom line is we cannot do our job without your help. We are truly all in this together. And now I'd like to ask Susan Bowling to step up and provide a little more information about how the system works. Susan?
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Mayor. I'm very excited to be able to share our success here at the LMPD Service Center. And I would be remiss if I didn't share that opportunity to also talk about my team. my director, Robin Oates, and really my first-hand supervisor, Robin Vaughn, and of course, my amazing team, all of my LMPD service techs. With this team, we have been able to be very effective with the crime tips that we do take. I want to focus on the crime tips that we do take. As the chief said, we have taken, over the last year, 2016, we took over 99,000 calls. Of those calls, over 12,500 of those calls were crime tips. Now, the rest of those calls are general calls that we take from the community. We do take reports of crime tips over the phone as well. And of those reports that we take, we have been able to save officer hours of over 11,000 officer hours, being that by us taking reports over the phone, that allows officers to be able to be out on the streets effectively, handling other types of services and calls, so that we're handling those calls on the phones. But I'm going to focus on the crime tips right now. We average about 240 crime tips a week. And as they come through, I'm going to share with you the different types of ways that we can take phone calls in just a few minutes, crime tips in just a few minutes, because we can take them more than just on the phone. In 2016, we were able, we received over 508 crime tips that were able to lead to arrest. And of those crime tips that we received, 601 people were arrested from those crime tips, which is amazing. This is a safe way for a partnership with the community to be able to be effective and proactive. Many of these crime tips are things that people have heard somebody talk about. It may not be a crime that has actually even happened yet. They've heard that a drug transaction is going to take place. Or maybe it is something that they have witnessed, and so they call in to let us know about it. So again, it's something that may have taken place, or it's something that they've heard is going to take place. They see some suspicious activity going on in their neighborhood, a car that doesn't look familiar driving through the neighborhood, somebody that doesn't look familiar, so they call and let us know. We take that information, and then we put that information into our records management system, and we let the division or the unit that would handle that information know about what that activity is, and then they directly go and investigate that situation as needed. As the chief was stating, the tip line is not recorded. As people call in, we did give up the opportunity to be able to have any caller ID, and it's not something that we can go back and retrieve. If we get a great tip, we can't go back and say, oh, we really need that phone number. It is not something that we can go back and retrieve on that. So there are 3 other ways that we are able to get tips. We can go through a text. And when you text, it's simply the number that spells out crimes. So that number is 274637. So it would spell out crimes. And then simply as you begin to text your tip, you would first put in LMPD and then completely begin to text in your tip. So that's one of the best ways, is to text or to call, because we can communicate, interact with you right away. and have a conversation back and forth and continue to ask questions. The other way is to be able to go online to the government website or, through the LMPD website, and there are a questionnaire that you would be able to submit answers to different questions. As you submit, either through texting or through the questionnaire, once you submit that through our program called Tip Submit, through TipSoft, we do not get your phone number, we do not get your IP address or your email address. There's an alternate ID that is sent through. It's scrambled as it comes through to us. And the company programming that we use, again, we cannot go back to them and say, hey, we really need this email address, or we really need this phone number. It cannot be unscrambled. We're not able to do that. And so it is, again, an anonymous and a safe way to proactively partner with LMPD. Some of the things that we have recently been able to utilize with the crime tips that have come in, as one of the examples that I gave just a few minutes ago, is some activity of knowing that there's going to be some drugs that are going to be sold. We had over 20 tips that came in on a recent activity of that, and that led to about 5 arrests that took place just within the last couple of months. Often we get in, and just recently, a person that was wanted. He was armed and dangerous, and somebody called in knowing where this person was, and so we immediately sent that tip out, and that person was arrested. There was recently the robberies with the Dairy Queen, and that was identified through a crime tip that came through. We often get crime tips that come through on people that are home incarcerated, and those are often lead to arrest on things that those personnel are doing. And one of the biggest things that was recently in the news was about the senior citizens that were being robbed and so forth in the Highview, Oklahoma area. This was a collaboration of crime tips that were coming through on the crime tip line, but also all kinds of citizens were coming up and giving tips to officers and talking and being proactive in that way. So it's not just calling into the service center on the 574 LMPD line. It's reaching out and being in partnership and being the eyes and the ears that we cannot be out there all the time and doing that and knowing, like the chief was saying, it's impossible to know everything that is going on with everything that is happening. When a call comes through online, we get an unknown caller when it comes through. When we get a text tip or when we get somebody that sends in a tip through our website, it comes in, we won't have the website or anything like that. And then I can answer some questions or anything like that if there's any other information that you all would like to know.